in SAP industry, you will realize that um, things have changed, the market has changed, the kinds of skill set has changed, and then more importantly, even the pay rate and the billing rates have changed significantly in the past few years. There are some skill sets which I would say are maybe even outdated, and there are some skill sets which customers are looking for are highly priced. So that trend is happening, is changing over. So what's the effect? What's the effect of this downturn on SAP? Overall, it has been drastic, no doubt about it. About 1/3, based on the survey which we did, said that yes, it has been a challenge if your career has been in the SAP path. But specific to that, what kind of marketable skills were challenges of the downturn? I should highlight one of my good partners, John Reed of John ERP, helped me compile this. And if you see, what were the least marketable skills? And these were the top 5. A module configurator, if you're working on workflow, basis, ABAP, and end-user training. So based on your background, if these were some of the skills which you have been working in the past, or which is something which you plan to look into, don't just look into these skills, because the market is not huge for this kind of background and skills. What are some of the billing rates? Obviously, one of the things a lot of companies, a lot of even consultants tend to look at is what are the billing rates specific to SAP. And I just want to highlight, at an average, the average billing rate is about $150 an hour. And that means, based on your background and experience, it can be higher or lower, but also that's specific to your skill set. Gone are the days when if you're an ABAP programmer, you could easily bill $120, $130 an hour, and your receiving rate could be, $90, $100 an hour. Those days are gone. And that has shifted. Not that does not mean that you don't have those billing rates, but it has shifted to a different skill set and to a different background set. So there's a little bit of an average, what are the billing rates that are going on or that have been, and what's the high and low, but also what's the pay rate. Let's look at in general what SAP, within the SAP market, what kind of skill sets are in and what is out. The latest and the growing trend is what called as business process management. So if, back in the day, if you were an SD consultant or an MM or FICO, only just doing that is not sufficient anymore. You actually need to understand the whole end-to-end process and how the process fits within an SAP environment, how it fits within an SAP platform. Is it just SAP one tool, multiple tools, multiple systems? So the focus from the customer side is that you need to be experienced enough to establish and implement end-to-end processes, which is, for example, order to cash, pay to procure, hire to retire. Now, what does this mean? This means that you're not working in only one module within SAP. You're working in multiple modules and multiple systems across. And in some cases, you might be even working with non-SAP systems. So the platforms which today are, much more marketable are your experience in ECC, CRM, SCM, supply chain, APO, any of the BI components, business objects is pretty hard nowadays. So that's what customers are looking for, is someone who can come and help them implement the end-to-end systems. Also, being just a basis, which is just the ABAP system, doing in ECC or doing in R3 back in the day, that's not sufficient anymore. You need to have exposure to whole the NetWeaver suite, which includes both ABAP and Java systems. So you should be familiar with how things happen in a Java environment and what kind of transactions you need to run to look at monitoring, to look at logs, to look at even the operating systems at some level in a Java environment. Methodologies, if you are a project manager, if you have been involved in implementation of SAP, one of the things is most of the companies, the Fortune 500s, have already implemented SAP, and they have been running SAP for a long time. So what that means is the interest is more towards how do you efficiently manage that implemented solution. How do you enhance it, how do you improvise it, and how do you optimize it? So that's where Run SAP comes into picture, which is the standard methodology for optimization and operations of your SAP solution. So in that regard, what are the tools specific to managing those is Solution Manager. Today, Solution Manager is a key component of any SAP system, especially if the customer has been an enterprise customer or the customer has been using SAP for the past 10, 15 years. This has to be implemented. This has to be, at the minimum, installed so that customer can interact with SAP. So what customers are looking at is okay, we used SAP, we have been using it. In that regard, we have Solution Manager. And 90% of the customers who we talk to, who we interact with, their specific answer is, yes, we have Solution Manager installed, but we don't go anything beyond that. We just use it for any interaction with SAP directly for the support. So along those lines, that's what customers are looking for, is how can we actually utilize what the Solution Manager can bring to the table, what kind of functionality can be enhanced so that they can optimize it. Maybe they can get rid of some of their existing tools or existing systems, but end-to-end to capture everything. And also on the financial side, they don't have to pay any additional licenses for Solution Manager itself. So that's one of the key reasons why the need of expertise around Solution Manager is increasing quite significantly. A little bit of background of how we have worked with our customers. As I mentioned to you, John Reed is one of the, I would say, the top-notch consultants out there who purely focuses on skill sets for SAP, around your marketing your SAP skills. You can actually visit his website, johnerp.com. He does continuous podcast. He does a lot of presentations specific to what kind of skill sets would be needed on an ongoing basis. In that regard, we did an interview, a podcast with John Reed on Run SAP and Solution Manager skills and the trends. And the reason why we focused on this was John came to us and said, hey, you know what, we hear a lot of talk about Solution Manager. There's a lot of chatter about Solution Manager. But what is it from a consultant's perspective? What is that the consultants need to look for when they are talking about Solution Manager, or more importantly, want to look into the skill set around that? Needless to say, outsourcing. Currently, this has become this has had a huge impact on the job market. At a very large scale level, things are shifting a little bit, but end of the day, the economy or the scales of the economies have changed so much that outsourcing will be a part, especially if you're in IT. Now, how does that help us or affect us? What kind of skill sets have been affected and what have not been affected? Any of your programming skill sets, administration, monitoring, basis, and administration functionalities have been outsourced, can be easily outsourced. There is a cost factor attached to that. But the key is what has not been affected. Skill sets like program management and project management. Customers still look for business process experts, not an SD consultant who can go and modify, but a consultant who can bring in their sales experience, their business process experience around sales and order to cash, and help them implement it the right way.